So now MySQL Server and MySQL Workbench are installed. Let's connect to our MySQL Server using MySQL Workbench and take a look at how to run some SQL statements. So here's our welcome screen in MySQL Workbench. I just ran the program after we installed it. And I'm going to click on localhost, and this is going to connect to our local server. If you want to step back even one step from that, we could take a look at services and see our MySQL service. Here it is. And there's a status of running. And if you right click and go to properties, you can determine whether you want to start it automatically, manually, or disable it. You know, one thing I didn't note in our installation video was one common problem is that we try to install it, but MySQL is already installed and running, or something is already running on port 33006. So make sure that MySQL is running if you want to by checking out services. Okay, so now we're going to set up a new connection. I'll do a new one. This one already works, but I'll do another new one. You can say new model, or you can click on this plus button to make a new connection. And it's going to be localhost. Our host name is 127.0.0.1. That's just our local host address. And then port 3306, and then root is the default user that's set up in MySQL for us. And if you want, you can click on this test connection just to see if it works. And here's where you need to type in that password, and you can have it saved if you want, and see if that connection works. So successfully made the MySQL connection. This is what you should see. And that this same connection that we're creating, I already have here. So when you open up MySQL Workbench, you should see your connection here, and just go ahead and click on that. And that's going to connect to our database running inside MySQL Server on our local host. And then you'll see this window here. So on the left-hand side, you'll see schemas. These are all the databases that we're connected to. And be careful if you click on administration. This is kind of like some database administrator functionality. So you want to click on schemas to see the actual databases. Then we have this window, which is our SQL script that we're going to run. And you can't see it in the corner here, but we can turn off and turn on these sidebars. So if you don't see the schemas, just click on this button in the upper right hand corner to turn on that sidebar to show the navigator. And then when we run an SQL statement, you can see output down here, and you'll also see a window pane show up that shows the results from your SQL statement. So what do we need to do? We need to set up the databases from our textbook this semester. So this is Murox MySQL Edition 3. I have the files in our Blackboard, again, that course links folder. And here's textbook resources, and I've put all of the free download resources in a zip file. So if you click on that to download it and open it up, you should see something like this. And so first step is it's in a zip file. So first thing we need to do is extract all, and be careful, because from that zip file, you can see in this address bar, you can see the .zip. We can still browse the files, but you can't run the script files from a zip file. So make sure you extract everything. Okay, so now we have an extracted folder. I'm going to go in here and take a look at what's in here. So as you go through the book, you can look at book scripts. These are scripts that are in the chapter reading. So if you went to chapter 1, if we looked at let's see. I guess I don't have Vital Source open. If we went to chapter 1, we would see these scripts throughout the text. There's also exercises in the chapter at the back of each chapter. So here's like I guess it starts with chapter 3, has exercises. So you can run these SQL statements and see solutions for the exercises in the back of the chapter. It's a nice way to practice. And what we want to work with today is this DB setup. So DB setup has 4 scripts, and our book includes 3 databases: the AP database, EX, and OM. And these stand for accounts payable, or like a finance or accounting database. EX is like exercises from the book. So it doesn't really have a central theme so much. And then OM is order management. And there's a third one, create databases. And create databases actually creates all 3 of the databases for us. So you can do a couple things. One, you can actually drag an SQL script onto MySQL Workbench. So if we had MySQL Workbench open in the background, we could actually just drag this onto here. Oh, maybe not. I lied. I thought you could. Another thing we could do, I guess this is the proper way, is to run an SQL script. So I'm gonna go to File, Run SQL Script, and then I'm gonna paste in that path and click on Create Databases and click Run. Okay, and a third way is to open an SQL script. Let's do this so that you can see what's in that script. So here's that Create Databases, and here's how we create the databases. So this is all SQL code, and this is what we're going to be studying throughout the semester, so it'll make more sense as we go. But I just want to run over a few simple commands. First, at the top here, we have comments. And a comment in SQL can just start with a dash dash. And so these lines are just ignored. So if you want to put your name, the date, the class, something like that, at the top, you would just add a dash dash space to create that line as a comment. Sorry about the noise in the background. That's my dog. Okay, so here we have some statements. So first we're going to try to drop the database if it exists. So just if that database already sits on your server, we can't run these commands unless we get rid of it. This is a statement, create database, is going to actually create a database, and then we're going to use it. So when we say use AP, now any statements that we run will be run against the AP database. Okay, so we're going to create some tables, and I'm just going to go ahead and run this statement. It's going to run through and it's going to create those 3 databases for us. So I'm going to go up to the top here, and you see this lightning bolt. I'm going to click on that, and it should run through the entire file, and you'll see the output at the bottom of the screen here. And we should mostly see green check boxes. We might see some warning messages that say nothing happened. But for the most part, it should run through and create the databases. Okay, so now on the left-hand side, under schemas, we don't see the schema because we need to refresh. So I'm going to right-click and select refresh all, or you can go to this little icon to refresh right here. And now we see, so we've got exercises, and if I expand tables, you'll see all of the tables. Here's AP for accounts payable, and it's retrieving tables. It's taking a little while on that one. And OM at the top, order management. And once it gets the tables again, we can just list off all the tables. You can right click, be careful, you don't want to drop a table or anything like that, but you can right click on it and select rows from it. You can copy to clipboard a select all statement, an insert, update, delete, and create. So these would show you what those statements would look like for that table. You can go to alter table if we wanted to change the table. We'll do that later on. So I'm just going to click select rows, and what happens is it's going to give us the SQL, to select all the records from that table, it's going to show that SQL statement in this SQL window, and it's going to run it. So we can run a statement by clicking on this lightning bolt, and you'll see at the very bottom, there's output from it. There's the statement, select star from EX customers, and it shows 24 rows returned. And here's the 24 rows that were returned. So this is what we're going to be doing throughout this semester. We're going to be learning about all of the different SQL statements that we're going to use to interact with a relational database table. If there's a mistake in our SQL statement, so if I click that and run it, I'm gonna hit Control Enter. Control Enter actually just runs the current statement that you're on. We can look in the output, and you'll see that there's this red X, and it shows an error. And it's hard to see. It's hard to see the what it is. So if I right-click on it and say Copy Response, it'll give me what that error message was. I can copy it right into there, and you can see here's table ex.customer doesn't exist. So I can now take that information and modify the SQL statement and rerun it so it does work. So pay attention to this action output. It shows you what's happening, how many rows were affected or returned. And yeah, so that's MySQL Workbench. Pretty easy to use. There are other MySQL GUIs out there, but I think MySQL Workbench is probably the easiest to use. So that's what we'll focus on for this class. That's what I'll support. If you want to use another GUI that you like, that's fine as well. But this is the one that I'm going to support if you need help with office hours or something.